What's up, you guys? My name is Cybersnolf, and welcome back to LEGO Arts. So in the last video, we did a showcase on Team Coffee, as one of our last few Rwby showcases. So for this one, we're going to wrap up our current Rwby showcases. This is featuring our custom LEGO Salem, the main big bad of the series, and probably one of my favorite supervillains of all time. So Salem has been a character that I've been debating of whether or not to do for a while. Ever since her first appearance in Volume 3, and then later on as the volumes progressed, I really love of how this character is portrayed as like this big bad supervillain that at first like started off good, but then like slowly was like consumed in darkness and is now pure evil and is really amazing. But I was still debating of whether or not to do this, just because at the time I was focusing on like some other projects and I didn't know like if this would be a good character to do. And then finally, in her grand appearance at the end of Volume 7, in her new outfit, I finally decided, you know what, let's go ahead and just do it for fun, because I think this would be pretty cool to try out. And with the final result, I'd say it came out pretty good. So, as you guys know the whole drill, we're going to take this minifigure, do a review, and explain my process, why I went with this route, and then go from there. So, without further ado, let's get the pedestal out and get the showcase on the road. So when it came to the overall design for Salem, it was kind of interesting to do. Like, I only did 2 decals, the face and the torso, and the rest of this was hand-painted. I think the only challenging parts that really came onto this figure were the 3D elements and hair. And I'll explain that as I go through. So when doing the torso, the design of the torso, as well as like the bottom part of the dress, was pretty easy to do. Like, I found a couple of good photos that like showed the front of Salem. So that was a good idea that, like, okay, now I have an idea of what to do. The only things that I didn't do was the back. The back is completely blank, and that's mostly because I have no idea what's the design on back there looks. Luckily, she has, like, this cape cloak on the back, so for now, we're gonna leave it like this, but until, like, I believe Volume 8 is released, and, like, we get more ideas of what the dress looks like, we're gonna leave the back blank for now. But anyways, looking onto the current, on the rest of our figure, we did like this crimson red paint. I thought that like it would look really cool, so I decided to go ahead with that. As you can see, I also continued on like those small outlines all the way around the torso. So it was tedious and a little difficult to do, but once I figured it out, the rest of it was pretty straightforward. Let me remove the figure a little bit so we could get a better look at the hair. The hair was actually done in 2 different parts. So the whole figure is based off of a extra Statue of Liberty minifigure I had, and the hair is actually the same. But like what I did with a couple of other hair pieces, I took it and completely sanded it as best as I could, all the way until there was almost nothing left. And then carefully sculpted out like this bun on the back, and then adding in like these hair pieces like towards the sides. They aren't exactly like how they look on the show because detailing like that would be super tedious, and like some of those like little dangly bits on each of them I couldn't incorporate on because it'd be ridiculously tiny that I don't think would even be able to stick on or even be seen. So that's why I excluded those on. Fixing like the little lighting in the focus, you could see like I added in the veins because that's like one of the character traits for Salem. They started off as normal prints, but when I was painting on the rest of the veins on like the arms and the hands, I decided to go ahead and paint over those, that way they would all match up. The eyes did come out a little bit odd, and that was because when they were printed out, the eyes were barely shown, so I had to like first paint them in black and then add in like the red dots to represent like her grim eyes. And this is actually like the same like sort of face decal that I used for North. This is just a common face that I really use because just like if you just like modify the eyes and a little bit of the mouth, it's overall a pretty useful like face design that you could use for a lot of figs. But I modified those and just like repainted this white. And just whites recolored in the lips and the eyes, and it really matches up of Salem's overall generic look. I'm pretty sure I can't remove this, and I'm not gonna try to. Like, I want to keep the whole head intact. But with the cape is the same thing that I did for Crow, the same thing I did for Crow on. I made my own custom cape, but I didn't really do a whole lot of modifications to it, because the overall idea was exactly of how I wanted to input it. But I did, however, made like my own maroon kind of color. Like, hang on, if I just remove the head itself. Okay, there we go. There we go. So we could get a better look at the cape. Look at the cape. You can kind of see like the holes for I punch it in. I've gotten better at adding those on. I know my first one with the Mandalorian was terrible, but I've gotten better since then. You can see of like sort of like my own maroon kind of color. And I did it for where like one side was this color and the other side was black. I don't know if it actually looks like this in the show because, again, with our current outfits, we're given limited ideas of what's the overall outfit looks like. So as soon as we get more like ideas of what it looks like in the future, I'll go back and like incorporate those on. But until then, this is like the overall idea for Salem. For Salem's design. And when you look at the arms a little bit, you can see like the clay sculpted out here. This was a little bit tricky because as soon as I saw like the design of them, I realized that like, oh, this is going to be a bit of a challenge and a little bit tricky. But I found a way around for where I sort of did like one strand of clay on the top first. I then took like a single bit of clay and proceeded to cut small bits of it onto the original, so that way it could all be like as one piece. And the same thing with on this side. You could see like, hang on, readjusting lighting. You could see of like where the pieces that I cut in and on here. I also added in slight detailing over here and detailing on these arms. I realized that I didn't include it on the back, which was sort of a mistake. But once I figure out like more ideas of what the outfit overall looks like on the back, I can go back and add those in. With the veins, I included those in on the back, on like the back of the hands as well, because that's another character trait with Salem, that you can see like her veins moving all around on the body, and a little red jewel of like where her gloves are, and then like you could see a little bit of detailing on the torso, like this little small piece on the top, on the very top over there. I know it didn't like fully come out, and that was something that I expected when printing this out, because when it comes to printing, small stuff like that rarely pops out. So that was a bit of a hard thing to do. But overall, I'd say this is a pretty cool design. I really love that they gave Salem a new outfit, and I think this looks really, really cool. Really cool. So I hope to see it again in Volume 8. And if we get like more detail and more details of like what does it look like on the back, I'll go back and finally finish this all up. But until then, this is going to be the basic idea for Salem. And that's going to do it for this episode of LEGO Arts. I hope you guys enjoyed this video, and this probably will be the last Rwby showcase for a while. It's mostly because I'm, at the moment, not feeling a lot of motivation to do, like, some other characters. So if you're wondering, like, what about some other characters? Like Cinder, Raven, even the other villains, Osmond, Ironwood, and a whole bunch of other characters. Some of them do sound like good ideas to do. Like, maybe in the future, I might go back to this topic and do some of those characters. But for now, I'm gonna put Rwby to rest and focus on some other stuff. Like, I do like the anime, and some of the character designs do look really, really cool and to interpret them as Lego figures. But for now, I'm not feeling a lot of motivation to do like some more characters. So I think Salem's gonna be the last Rwby figure for a while. I probably will go back to this topic in the future, but until then this is gonna do it all as a whole. So the next episode of LEGO Arts is gonna be the Final Fantasy VII remake showcase. I'm really looking forward to that one. And as I mentioned in the Mecha G showcase, Avatar will be on hold for now. If I can salvage what I can, I'll go back and fix and do like the figures for you guys. But until then, Final Fantasy will probably be the last episode of LEGO Arts for a little while. It won't be the last overall, but once I figure everything out, we'll go back and continue on the showcases. But anyways, if you guys would like to see more videos like this in the future, be sure to subscribe to the channel, hit the bell for notifications, and whether let's play, LEGO practice, and make that episode fun. So anywho, thank you guys so much for watching this video. If you liked it, hit that like button, comment below what you think, share with your friends, subscribe to me on YouTube, follow me on Twitch, and he's off of the road. Woo! Thank you guys, and I'll see you next time. What do you guys, Moon Rises?